Yo, like, comment, subscribe. Here we go.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left, feet left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yo. Welcome to the show. This is another edition of the Phlite Zone off of A2D Radio. Agree to disagree. We got a lot going on tonight. We're going to talk about three of the teams. A little blip on the Flyers real quick. They bounced back from that awful Lake Tahoe game when they were shorthanded, when Carter gave up an insane amount of just goals. Defense was awful, but they came back against a hard Buffalo team. 3-0 shutout with the Moose. 3-0 shutout with Hart. So they're rolling. Hopefully they keep that going. Hopefully Carter Hart's confidence stays up. Today, we have a lot to talk about. There's 25 days until the NBA trade deadline. There is 32 days until the Phillies open up in the regular season. They just opened up today, or they were opened up yesterday. This was the first televised game today. Aaron Nola gave up the home run in the first inning. It wouldn't necessarily be concerning if he proved to me that he could play in big games, but he hasn't proved to me that he can play in big games. So it is concerning that he gave up a first inning home run in the first spring training game. We'll go over that today. We will also talk about the NFL draft, which is 59 days away. Who are we going to take at 6? Are we going to trade up to get a quarterback? Are we going to trade back and get some draft capital? Who knows? Today we have a special guest. Went to college with him. Name is Jonathan Almonte. He knows a lot about baseball. He knows a lot about basketball. Huge Eagles fan. He is a little bit confused because he's only an Eagles fan. He likes the Pacers for some reason because of Paul George, and he is a Yankees fan. So we could have some fun with him tonight as we make fun of him for not being all 4 for 4. He's 1 for 4. In my opinion, if you're 1 for 4, you're 0 for 4. But he's a good Eagles fan. He's a good Eagles fan, and here he is right now. Welcome to the stream, Jonathan.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Yep, great to have you. Evan, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Sixers, hell of a game tonight. Yeah, I wish we had that energy for the Cavs game the other day, but can't have it every night, I guess.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with the poll real quick. Now, it was a hard game against the Cavs, not going to lie. Our only 2 players that showed up was Joe and Ben. Ben's starting to kick up. As Jonathan would say, he kicked up because he wanted to make the All-Star game. But we'll see what happens with the rest of the year. We'll see what happens with just what happens, how the rotation ends up being once playoffs start, once the games start to matter. We are going to discuss whether we should get Kyle Lowry, and if it means giving up Maxey, would you do it? Would you agree, or do you disagree? Jonathan, I'll start with you.
Honestly, I believe that Lowry's a real impactful player, but it all depends on where the Sixers see themselves at the moment. Do they see themselves as this year as a championship or bust mentality, or do they think, all right, the Nets are too good, or maybe we're still a couple pieces away rather than just one piece away like Lowry? In my opinion, I feel as though a player like Lowry could possibly push him over the top if Ben continues to play the way he's been playing. No, preface my statement right there. If he continues to keep playing the way he's playing,
we'll talk about that later.
And we know that Joel, at this point, I look at him as a guaranteed. If he's playing all 4 quarters, guaranteed 35 points, over 12 rebounds a game type of guy in the playoff series. I feel like so a player like Lowry could push him over the top, and you're taking away a key player from a conference rival in the Raptors. So I feel as though if it means giving up a player like Maxey, it'd be tough. But if they're in a win now situation, I could see it happening.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. I completely agree. A lot of people think Maxey, he's still very young. He's only 20 years old, and he still has a lot of NBA time ahead of him. I feel like if it's that win now mentality that we have, it really depends on the GM. If Morey wants to do it, he'll do it, because you've seen years of Morey pulling trades out of his ass and making teams great. But I really don't. I really don't know about Maxey.
Here's what I got to say to it. I'm going to disagree to the poll only because Tyrese Maxey has so much potential, and he could potentially be that 2 guard right next to Ben as Ben develops on throughout the contract. If we were to re-sign him to the super deal once the contract does come up, Maxey's just overall facility. He's 20 years old or 20 years old. We got to remember that too. I don't want to throw away a 20-year-old just for Kyle Lowry if that means we're only going to have him for 1 year and if it doesn't guarantee a championship. There's so many other guys that we can get, i.e. PJ Tucker, Delon Wright. You have a lot of options, a lot of guys that are going to be in the buyout market. I don't want to give up Maxey. I don't want to give up Matisse. Now, if they were to say, give us Furkan, then yeah, I'm giving it up. But nobody would do that. Nobody would do that. But Furkan Korkmaz, he needs to go. I don't care that he just went 6 for 13 from the 3-point line tonight. Everybody was on fire.
With the way he lit us up, I'll take him. We need some wins.
Yeah, what happened to your Pacers today?
See, what had happened was it's the only way I can explain what happened tonight, man.
It's the injuries, right?
It's been dreadful, man. It's like
injuries.
Every day it's like a wing. It's like another wing gone, man. Another wing gone. We trade for LeVert. We basically traded for air because he hasn't played yet. We literally traded for air. Warren gets hurt in the second week of the season. That's 2 wings down. Lamb doesn't play coming into the day. That's 3 wings down. And then Doug McDermott just gets popped in the mouth. 4 gone.
By Ben. Ben did that.
Yep.
It's just terrible.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jake. Look, Lowry would bring a dynamic to this team. It's just I don't know if I'm overvaluing Maxey, but it's just I don't want to give up on a guy that young that put up a 40-piece when there was nobody on the roster earlier on in the season. I just see something when he plays. I made a highlight. I watched his film. I made a highlight tape of him as he was coming out just to see what he was about. I didn't get to watch that much college basketball last year when he was drafted, but just watching what he did at Kentucky for that short period of time before COVID, I see something in Maxey that I don't really see in really any rookies that we've drafted since Joe, maybe. So I can't give up on Maxey just for a 34-year-old guy that's going to be off a contract this year, because you're going to be giving up Maxey and then maybe a first-round pick, which is just blasphemy in my opinion. I
get like young Mike Conley vibes in Memphis from Maxey's game, right? He used to use the mid-range game to his advantage, the floaters and things like that. I like what somebody said here in the comment, Marky Mark, how he said a guy like Terrence Ross. I feel like that would be a nice pickup for the Sixers. I don't agree with Nemanja Bjelica, though. That's another player he brought up, just for the fact that the whole situation that happened in the one off season where he said he was signing here.
Yeah, yeah.
Said, never mind, I'm not signing here, and then signed to another team. Like,
I mean, yeah. He could come back and do like make up with us, but I'd rather get a PJ Tucker rather than I don't know I don't want to butcher his name, but I'd rather go with like a PJ Tucker for the backup 4. It's just PJ Tucker, especially if Joe's going to be playing this questionable. I'm going to be questionable up until 10 minutes before the game starts. It'll be huge to add a PJ Tucker if Joel Embiid can't show up in an Eastern Conference semifinal game, Game 3, when it matters, or an Eastern Conference final game against the Nets. Yeah. There's a big difference between playing PJ Tucker in those minutes rather than Mike Scott.
And here's one thing I'll say too, like with a player like PJ Tucker, I feel as though, based off like what's going on, so I feel as though crowds will begin to come back, and by the playoff series, we'll have crowds. I feel like a player like PJ Tucker, he's like a type of player that can like rile up a Philly crowd, like the way he plays, like he plays hard and all like and things like that. Takes charges and all that. I feel as though he can really get a Philly crowd hype. He'd be perfect for a city like Philly.
Yeah. I agree with Sportsman 22. You can't give up Thibault. You can't give up Lowry. Yeah. Thibault's defense is just insane, and you're going to need that during the playoffs.
Yeah,
to cover their second or third best player, and because of course my guy Ben Simmons is always going to be covering the first best player because he's the best defensive player in the league. I don't agree with a couple of shows from A2D saying that Rudy Gobert is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. When you can't go up against Ben Simmons, which Ben Simmons went up against Rudy Gobert when they played, when Ben Simmons dropped the 40-piece. You don't deserve to get Rookie of the Year because you're letting Ben Simmons shit in your mouth. So, and Ben Simmons can guard 1 to 5.
Miles Turner leads the league in blocks.
Miles Sanders gets
Miles
baby by Joel Embiid every time they play. Just put him in the cradle. Just put him in the cradle.
I mean, you're acting like any other center does good against Embiid.
Marcus All does.
That's true.
Listen,
Al Horford did.
And Marcus All did. First of all, I don't know if you've seen Marcus All this year, but
he hasn't really been playing for them, has he?
He looks awful. He starts. He just looks awful.
So he kind of starts like the Warriors center did like 3 years ago during.
He's kind of like a Kevon Looney.
Brothers.
He's kind of like a Kevon Looney, a Bogut.
Now, what would you guys, Jimmy? What would you do with the Seth Curry situation and a Danny Green situation? Are you benching one of them?
So
I mean, Furkan, Dillon, they all look good.
Here's what I got. So we're gonna go right into the rotation now. What I want the rotation to be come playoff time, come 10 games before the regular season ends, come to the trade deadline. I want Seth Curry or Danny Green on the bench, probably Seth Curry, because if you have Seth Curry come off the bench, he'll give you that spark if he's on for that night. But he hasn't been the same since COVID. I'm not gonna make that as an excuse. Hopefully he comes back better than ever. But if you have Seth Curry come off the bench, and then you add a guy like I don't know. Let's just say Kyle Lowry for hypothetical reasons, or George Hill, or somebody like that. Put him in the starting role for Seth, and then you'll have to be forced to start Danny Green unless you buy him out or trade him, which I don't want Danny Green on this team come 25 days from now. He sucks. Every time I see him, it's either an air ball or a brick. He's building brick houses down in South Philly, or he's just letting the breeze go by with all the air balls. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he's on this team. He sucks. Even on a hot night tonight where everybody was making a three, Danny Green plays 18 minutes, starts, goes 1 for 4 from 3. It's just he's so wildly inconsistent, and he's not the player he used to be. So
that's why he's a perfect player for the bench, because.
Or you could just leave with that contract. You could trade the contract, or you could just buy out the contract.
His defense is good. His defense is decent.
He was 1 for 5 from 3 tonight.
Listen. Based off that comment right there, I feel like the best player, like for your system, the system that you have right now, would be a player like George Hill. Yeah. Being a Pacers fan, seeing the way he played for years, seeing him for the Bucks last year. I love George Hill's game. He's the type of guy that can play on the ball or off the ball, whatever you need. He's going to play defense on guards. For example, a smaller guard that you don't want Ben on, or if Thibault's in foul trouble, just put George Hill on him. He'll be there. He'll stay solid.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked at some of the comments saying that they disagree, because a lot of people have been on board for this Lowry trade, but I'm not sure they understand like what it's going to cost to get Kyle Lowry. It's going to be either Maxey or Thibault, and it's most likely going to be Maxey. So if you're all for the Kyle Lowry trade, who are we going to give up? Because I'm asking a serious question, because if you don't want to give up Maxey or Thibault, who are you going to give up to get Kyle Lowry?
I wouldn't give up more picks. I don't know. They'd probably want 2 first-round picks, and then you have to end up giving them the 1 year. So you're going to have to give up Mike Scott, Terrence Ferguson, which they can go because they don't produce. But
now Mike Scott is the bench piece that you can have on the bench. I'm being serious. Why would you want to keep Danny Green over Mike Scott?
Mike Scott's been hurt all year, and
Mike Scott is not better than Danny Green.
Mike Scott didn't miss tonight.
Mike Scott.
I'm being so serious right now.
All year though, like
Danny Green. First of all, in the playoffs, what do the Sixers need? People that have playoff experience. What does Danny Green have? Playoff experience. Mike Scott, come playoff time, is going to be
bring JJ Redick back. Bring JJ Redick back.
Who is Mike Scott going to guard if you play a team like the Nets?
Bro, if Furkan Korkmaz is going to be getting minutes, who's he going to guard?
We're not talking about Furkan. We're talking about Danny Green. We're talking about Danny Green and Mike Scott. Who is Mike Scott going to guard if you play the Nets?
Joe Harris.
Have you seen Joe Harris this year? He's putting the ball on the floor now.
Bro, he's slow.
He's putting the ball on the floor now.
He's slow.
And he's shooting right over Mike Scott. You talk about slow. You talk about slow.
Bro, no, the question was Mike Scott can be a bench piece.
You ever saw Mike Scott run down the court?
Danny Green can be a perfect bench piece. You bring him off the bench with Thibault, they both guard whatever guards are in the game. Or you can move Danny Green to guard a 3. Sometimes they can even guard a smaller 4. Like he's a player that's flexible when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. You can't just look at, oh, yeah, he's breaking some shots, because at the end of the day, he's needed on a team like that.
Yes, but when we need a big shot, 9 times out of 10, he will not hit that big shot for you.
Why is he getting the ball?
I'd rather have him.
Oh, he's the shooter. All right. This is what happened last year, right? We just got rid of all of our shooters for some reason. This was actually a 2-year progression from the Jimmy Butler, the Tobias Harris, JJ Redick experiment to the bully ball experiment with Al Horford, Tobias Harris, and Josh Richardson. The first step was to get shooters. They got shooters this offseason. They're not going to make them. Seth Curry's not going to make them on a consistent basis. Danny Green's never going to make them. Step number 2 is to get shooters that actually make the shot. Danny Green is not making the shot. You can't just depend on Ben and Joe and Tobias to give you your offense, because it seems like one of them are out every single game, at least one of them. And you saw that against Cleveland.
Can I pose you a question?
Yeah.
Based off the performance he had tonight, coming off, like, I know he's had some like little injury and stuff like that. Do you see, like, in the playoffs, a situation where like Shake Milton comes in the starting lineup for Danny or Steph Curry?
Probably not the starting lineup, but he'll definitely be in at the close of the game.
I think he comes in for a starting, maybe over Danny Green, honestly.
Here's what I'll say, though. For example, like you just said it right there. In the playoffs, just because you start doesn't mean you're going to finish. And at the end of the day, Shake Milton can still finish the game for you. You could have a guy like Danny Green starting, but that doesn't mean that he's going to play in the big moments. He's not going to have to take the big shot. But you can have Shake Milton take a big shot or Steph Curry.
But I don't know if I trust Shake yet to play playoff minutes. Like, they got a little taste of it in the bubble, but they got smacked by Boston. You need experience. You need experience that's going to give you production. Danny Green has the experience, but he's not going to produce for you. I'd rather have JJ. I'd rather have JJ.
The Sixers did not have the great generational Ben Simmons in that series.
Yeah, and he wants to call my boy Joel Embiid like he's always like, oh, this dude's gonna miss this game, but Ben missed the whole series, so I don't know why you're.
His shoulder was destroyed.
All right, but you don't keep the same energy.
Joel Embiid, bro, because Joel Embiid, whenever Joel Embiid gets a paper cut, he ends up questionable.
Them 50 points that TJ Warren put on Ben head hurt his shoulder.
Bro, he was already hurt then. He was already.
I thought he was a great defender. That 50 hurt.
He was hurt. He was hurt.
He was going like this, too many threes.
Where's TJ Warren right now? Where's TJ? Is he making All-Star teams? Is he making All-Star teams?
No, don't talk about the All-Star.
Is he making All-Star teams?
Listen, he played 3 games. He averaged 15, same amount as Ben. He might as well be All-Star.
What does that mean? Is he the best defender? Is he the best defender in the league?
He averages 15, man. I told you, Jimmy.
Bro, don't bring us. We're not talking about the weird ass bubble. We're not talking about the weird ass bubble. The only thing we're talking about in the bubble is the pitiful roster we put in.
Jimmy,
that's the only thing we can talk about in the bubble.
When I have a son, I'm telling my son, do not shoot that basketball. Be far from the rim. Stay right there. Shoot a layup. Practice your defense. Learn how to pass. You'll be an all-star, son. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about shooting. You don't need that. Just be tall.
Connor, I said that when we signed him, and then I kind of had to eat my words for a little bit when he showed up in the beginning of the season. Now he's right back to the old Seth Curry.
Listen. I feel like at the end of the day, shooters are gonna have moments where they're streaky. Shooters are gonna have bad games. I feel as though it's an upgrade from Jay Rich. Jay Rich to me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When y'all got him,
not the defense though.
Not the defense, but at the end of the day, come playoff time, a great player is going to make the shot regardless of who's on him. You need to be able to make the shots on the end.
We had enough defense. Like, we had too much defense last year to where we had no offense. So this year, it's better with both. Like, or not better with both, but better offensively, because you can have some wiggle room where you don't have to have too much defense, where you can have that little bit of offense. That's so important.
You have the greatest defender ever, Ben Simmons.
He's not. He's the greatest defender in the league right now, bro. The description says you're unbiased. Why are you showing hate on Ben Simmons right now? I brought you on because you were going to give us an unbiased take on what Ben Simmons is. Because as a Philadelphia fan, you know I could be biased towards the players that I love. No, I was a little biased towards Carson. I'm definitely a little biased towards Ben, and a lot of people in this city are very biased towards Ben. But the loud minority, they hate on Ben. I need you to give me an honest input on what Ben Simmons is, what he will give us in the playoffs. What is he going to do? What's up?
You're asking me right now. That's
yes.
the question.
Yes.
Okay. So I think Ben Simmons is a good player. I like to joke around because I know you love him, but I think he's a good player. He's a solid player. I feel as though in order for him to be great, you remember when Joel Embiid got hurt his rookie year at the end of the season? He got hit in the face by Markelle. And Ben went on that run where he was aggressive. He was shooting some mid-range floaters. He had that little fade that he had, two-handed fade where he would go to the mid-range, spin, and shoot. That's gone. I don't know what happened. I don't know how you forget to shoot a shot. I don't know how you take a shot out of your game. That's gone. That mid-range game that I know it wasn't like a mid-range jumper or anything like that, but like he still had some type of game like far from the rim. That's gone. I feel as though for him to be great, he needs to incorporate that back into his game and have that aggression. When that game against Utah, he could do that every night. If you do that on a Jazz team that focuses on the defensive side of the ball, you can do that every night. That's what hurts me about Ben, is that I see the greatness. But instead of just wanting to be great on both ends, he just says, I'm going to play defense because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to have fans like Jimmy. I'm going to have fans that are going to be like, hey, no, he's the best defender. He averages 10 assists. Oh, he got a triple-double. Oh, at the end of the day, come playoff time, he's going to come. He's going to average 12 points a game for the playoffs. He's going to average like 8 rebounds, like 8 assists. Y'all are going to say, oh, it's okay. It's not his fault. This guy missed a shot. That guy missed a shot. And guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen? You're not going to make it to the finals. And then during the all season,
then people are going to overreact, right? Let me jump in right now. We're not going to make the finals because we're going to lose to the Nets in Game 7, right? And then we're all going to overreact and we're going to run Ben out of town, just like we ran Carson out of town.
No, let me tell you what's going to happen. What's going to happen?
Evan's going to want that.
He's going to post a couple videos of him shooting jumpers in the gym. Everybody's going to be like, "Oh my God, look at Ben! He's shooting. He's going to shoot." And what's going to happen? Let's keep him. He's showing he wants to shoot. He wants to be here. Look at him practicing. And guess what's going to happen after that?
We saw it last year in the beginning of the season. Where it's like,
and then
against the Chinese team, and he shooting like what was the point of that?
First of all, let me jump into the first point you said about that, John. The first thing you said was he doesn't have that mid-range floater game anymore. What do you mean, bro? He expanded. He's a sniper now. Did you see that shot the other night? What are you talking about?
Too bad.
He has a high he has a higher field goal percent, 3-point field goal percentage over the last 2 games than your whole team combined. Just think about that.
Listen, don't talk about my team. We can't shoot. You're talking about my team. That's not good.
Ben Simmons is a better 3-point shooter than your whole team right now.
Like I said, you can shoot a 3 against the Cavs. You can shoot a 3 against the Knicks. You can shoot a 3 against the Shanghai Tigers. If you ain't shooting a 3 against the Brooklyn Nets, the Toronto Raptors, the Boston Celtics, or any of those top teams, it's not going to matter because at the end of the day, come playoff time, they're going to put Bam Adebayo and Embiid. They're going to double off of Ben with Jimmy Butler. And what's going to happen? They're going to reach at Embiid. They're going to reach at Embiid. And Ben's just going to be standing in a dunker spot looking like this.
It's not going to happen.
And Jimmy, the inconsistency he has going up to the rim, he needs to get in the
gym. But he's been consistent. Bro, look, here this comment. The last 3 to 4 weeks, he has been exactly the player you just explained, John. The player you just explained, he's been that player over the last 3 to 4 weeks. And that's because he just came back from an injury in the beginning of the season. He was still hurt over that shoulder from the bubble. Before the bubble happened, before COVID happened, he was playing like this. He was playing at a high level with a bunch of scrubs, with a bunch of people that didn't know how to shoot the ball. He was playing like that. He was still averaging over 8 assists with and most of his assists come off of 3-point shots. And the team didn't have 3-point shooters 2 years ago when he was kicking up. And then when when COVID happened, everything just stopped. And then they went into that weird ass bubble. He hurt his shoulder. TJ Warren dropped 50 on his head. And then Joel Embiid got swept by Boston.
That's what happened. 50.
But no. And that's what happened, right? And then he was still recovering in the beginning of the season. That's why he wasn't showing up, quote unquote. And then right when he finally gets to get healthy, it just happens to be a coincidence where it's around All-Star voting. And that's where people like you come in. The haters come in and say, oh, he's just doing that to kick up for the All-Star game votes. He just wants to be in the – no, he was hurt. And now he's playing right back where he was this time last year before COVID happened. This is exactly what's happening.
Jimmy. All I'm saying is this is the best – might be the best shooting team that Simmons might have, honestly. And
going forward?
In my opinion, I think so.
So we're just gonna keep Danny Green and we're just gonna keep Seth Curry.
Nah, listen.
Started.
I think a team that was a better shooting team than they have right now was when they had Dario and Rocco. Even though Rocco came and went like Danny Green does, he was, as crazy as it sounds, more consistent than Danny Green was. And then Dario was a great shooter that year. But at the end of the day, I feel as though Jimmy, you gotta relax on Danny Green. He's not focused on. I mean, we know what type of player he is. He's a playoff type player. He's a streaky shooter. You can't expect him every night to be just there daggering and all that stuff. You can't expect that from him.
If he thinks it was bad in LA when he missed that shot when he was getting death threats, just think about how bad it's going to be in Philly when he misses that shot for us. I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but it's going to be bad when he costs us a playoff game because he goes 1 for 7 from behind the 3-point line. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad when his plus minus is -3 and the rest of the starters are +12 and you end up losing that game. It's going to be bad. And I'm telling you that's going to happen.
You better just hope that Ben Simmons doesn't not show up during the playoffs.
Oh my
If
God.
he does, if he has
I was talking about Danny Green.
He's gone. He's gone this offseason.
You have an obsession with Ben.
Jimmy, can we put a wager right here live?
What?
Wager. If Ben doesn't average over 17 points a game,
bro, it doesn't matter if you're averaging 17 points or not. Because if you're winning the games and you're doing shit to help your team win, what does the matter? What does it matter? The points that
you need that many points from him a game.
You're not outscoring Brooklyn if Ben Simmons is averaging at least 17.
I mean, you can have a great defense, but like you need to be able to score.
JJ Redick that year too. I forgot y'all had JJ Redick on that team too. JJ, Rocco, and Dario.
Yeah, and then we traded everybody for Jimmy and Tobias, and then we ended up keeping the wrong one.
You know who would have been nice to have on this team? Mikal Bridges. I gave him away to Ira Smith. Oof.
What is he doing right now? We got rid of him, right?
He's averaging 14 a game. I have him on fantasy.
No way. Zaire Smith?
No, not Zaire. No.
Oh.
Don't attach that man to
my I don't know where he is. No.
We
traded him, right?
He playing on that team. I played in the preseason that one year. The Shanghai Tigers or whatever they call it. we gotta be playing somewhere. He ain't playing. He not playing over here. He not in the bubble. I'll tell you that. He not in the G League bubble. He ain't there.
Greg, the only reason why I want JJ back is because he does everything Danny Green does, only he makes the shot.
No, he's washed. He's done.
Bro, if he's washed, what's Danny Green?
I've watched some Pelicans game, bro.
Yes, but that's with the Pelicans. Bring him back with Joe. Bring him back with Ben. There's some chemistry between the three of them.
Nah, but he's not coming around them screens like he used to, bro. Even last year, he was better than what he is now. I don't know what he's doing now. He forgot.
You can't have Curry and JD on the same team. They're both defensive liabilities.
Well, they won't be on the floor at the same time.
If they're not, I know, but if they're both not on, I don't know. You just can't have both of them on the team.
Evan, let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to get JJ back, right? JJ's going to have a game where he misses a couple of threes, and they're going to come at him like, he doesn't play defense. He doesn't shoot. Why did we trade for him? They're going to go crazy again. That's what's going to happen.
I want to put up this comment that Mark just put up. That's a violation. That's such a violation.
Don't ever violate the Pacer legend Ron Artest like that, please. Don't compare him to a player like that. He shoot. He shot. He's a champion, Ron Artest. Okay?
I know you're not doing this right now.
And he can fight. Ben Simmons,
he can fight. He can fight.
Bro, I'm not fucking with Ben Simmons. I'm not fucking with anybody from Australia. Not fucking with anybody from Australia.
Fighting kangaroos down in Australia, man.
Why you looking like that?
I'm doing the best Simmons. Every time somebody tests Ben.
Bro, because he gets fouled every time he goes up. Have you seen him the last few weeks, though, with the aggression? He's getting hacked. They're trying to do the hack at Ben, and he's making his free throws. There's
been a couple games where he hasn't made them, and we lost.
Somebody said
against the Jazz, he did it a few times.
See,
we had like 5 missed free throws.
Ben did put Cat in a chokehold. I don't think Ben, like, if he has to fight, he's gonna fight.
That's the only time Ben can win in a fight. Cat wasn't even looking at Ben. Cat was really going at it with a B. Of course, Ben got to come from. Oh, this is my chance. I can look tough.
That was hilarious, though. That was a hilarious photo.
But yeah,
I got a couple little cousins that could beat up Ben.
Bro, I literally in the description it says unbiased outlook on what Ben Simmons is. Literally.
Nah, like I said, I told you already. I think Ben is a good player. I think he's a good facilitator. He is one of the best defenders in the league. To me, he's top 3.
Mhm.
I'd put Lou Dort ahead of him.
Stop,
Have you seen OKC play?
bro.
Did you see him against Harden in the playoffs? In the playoffs, where it counted.
All right,
Did you see
yeah.
him?
In the bubble, in the bullshit bubble.
Bro, James Harden could be playing in Costa Rica, Antarctica, it no matter where it is, and put up 40.
Bro, there's no fans. There's no fans in the bubble.
What does defense have to do with bubble? It's defense.
I'm just saying the bubble was bullshit. And you're telling me that a man named Lou Dort, who I know who Lou Dort is, but he's not a better defender than Ben Simmons right now. He's not. Can Lou Dort guard the 5? Can he guard the 4?
So basically, you're saying just exclude every point guard and every center from the conversation.
No.
If you're talking about the most versatile defender, okay. You just said best defender, the best at playing. And somebody is a better defender than him. Drew Holiday is a better defender than Ben Simmons. And you can't convince me that he's not.
This year? This year.
Bro, better defender, period. You don't lose defense. You don't lose defense.
Bro,
you know how to play defense. You know how to play defense. It's the only person I've ever seen just take Damian Lillard and just take him out of a series.
So Lou Dort and Drew Holiday and then Ben Simmons, that's your top 3 defenders right now this year?
Matter of fact, you talked me into it. I'll go Drew and I'll go Ben.
All right. Defense is greater than offense, and that's why we cannot get rid of Ben Simmons.
Or Danny Green.
You got to keep the same energy, Jimmy, because
why can't Matisse play in Danny Green's spot? Their 3-point percentage is the same.
Because he will never make a 3 in his life. Have you seen him this season?
And not only that, Jimmy, you gotta actually have some defense off your bench. You can't literally come off the bench and literally have freaking Seth Curry, Shake Milton, all these guys, and Maxey come off the bench with the defense they play.
Yeah. Well, Maxey's not going to be playing in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Matisse Thybulle shooting 27% from 3, and Danny Green
definitely above 35.
Danny Green is shooting a respectable 38 from the 3. It's just every time I see it.
Wait.
Stop, Jimmy, stop. He just got exposed.
Jimmy.
38% is good.
Thybulle shooting 27%. Danny Green shooting respectable. No, ain't no respectable. He's shooting 38%. He's shooting 38% from 3.
That's a good 3-point percentage. It's just
really good percentage.
Nobody knew that until I just said it, because every time you see him, he's missing a 3. Am I right or am I wrong? You did not know that, because you would have corrected me right when I was talking all that shit about him in the beginning of the show.
We said keep him in the lineup.
No, I'm talking about his field goal percentage when I'm saying he was building brick houses in South Philly.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I still don't think he's a good shooter, but at the end of the day, you still need him. You still need him.
He's still better than Matisse. I'd probably say I'd have not actually. I was gonna say I'd take Danny Green over Matisse, which I probably would honestly in a playoff position, because Matisse just can't score. Like Greg is completely right.
Here's one thing I say:
can't score
against the Nets, though. I would put Thybulle in starting lineup.
Yes.
But as crazy as it sounds, I'd keep Danny Green in the lineup.
You put him at the 2.
Bro, then you have no shooters. And then you're doing the same exact thing you did last year in the bubble.
Let me explain why. Because at the end of the day, you got to have somebody that's going to annoy Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. You put Ben on Durant, you put Danny Green on Harden, and you put Thybulle to run around with Kyrie, get him frustrated. Then the second unit, you come out with Shake Milton, Seth Curry, and let them run with either Ben, Toby, or Joel. One of those 3 need to be in the lineup at all times.
Well, Ben's not going to come off the floor. Ben's probably going to play 44 to 45 minutes in the playoff, come playoff time. So you don't need, because once Ben comes off the floor, Matisse is probably going to be on the floor, no matter what, because you need one of them on the floor to go into some passing lanes and stuff.
If Tobias Harris is guarding Kevin Durant, pack it in.
He's not going to be guarding. Ben is covering Kevin. Tobias.
So is he on Harden?
No, Ben is covering Durant. Ben is covering Durant.
Is Tobias on Harden? Don't say that,
bro. Tobias is playing good defensively this year, though. I just don't know where he would fit in and who he would guard on the Nets.
And that's
because he's going to either guard either Harden or Kyrie.
No, put him on Joe Harris. Put Embiid on whatever center they want to run. Put Danny Green on James Harden. Put Thibault on Kyrie, and then put Ben on Durant.
Yes, but we're not going to win.
At the end of the day,
You still need to score points to win a playoff game.
Miles lie, numbers don't. Danny Green shooting 38% from 3. He doing his job. Talk to Thibault. He got to bring that 27% up. Talk to Thibault. He bring that up, then that'll be a perfect starting lineup. And talk to Ben. That 15 ain't gonna cut it.
Dude, imagine if Matisse score was at least 35% from 3. I feel like it
that's what we needed. We needed him to do that.
That honestly could have took us over the top. Maybe that's such a small little thing, but I feel like that would just be so important. I don't know.
It's an interesting concept with the 2-3 zone. Miami pulled that up their sleeve last year, and it kind of worked for them. They made it all the way to the the finals. They made it to the finals, but you can't just depend on that all game. You can't depend on that in a 7-game series. You got to pick and choose when you're going to throw that out there. So,
listen, if the Nets see that 2-3 zone, they're just gonna carve it up. That mid range is gonna be a wrap.
Yeah, you can't play it. Maybe try it out when you play them again in the regular season, see what happens. But when you have Kyrie, KD, and Harden, you can't play a 2-3 zone against them for that long. You can maybe do it in little spurts just to throw them off, but you're gonna need. Now I'm reconsidering the poll question. Because if you have Kyle Lowry out there, just to pest Kyrie. You have Kyrie and you have KD not shut down, but you have guys that are formidable defenders going against them. Yes. And then you just have to worry about Harden. And then that's where you throw Matisse on Harden.
That's where my answer comes in when I said, where are y'all at right now in the franchise? Are y'all in win now, win or bust? Or are y'all not? Because if you're in win now or bust, you need Kyle Lowry against the Nets. Because you're going to go through the Nets. The Bucks aren't beating the Nets. The Raptors aren't beating the Nets. And I don't see those teams beating y'all, if I'm being objective right now. Not being biased. Look out for my Pacers. But anyways, if we're being honest, I believe Kyle Lowry would be the perfect guy next to Ben because he can shoot. So you put him next to Ben and Embiid and another defender with Tobias, you're set. You don't have to worry about, we don't have a shooter or we have a guy who can't defend. He does both.
Yeah.
At a high level. Not just okay, at a high level.
Yeah. I don't like the look of Danny Green. I need somebody better than Danny Green that can do the same thing, only he can shoot better than Danny Green. I don't know who that could be, but I'm telling you right now, we need PJ Tucker. We need PJ Tucker just in case Tobias can't play, just in case Ben can't play, just in case Joe can't play. You need him.
Now,
what's the timeout for?
If Danny Green can't shoot, I can only imagine how you're going to feel when you see PJ Tucker breaking them corner threes.
Yes, but the energy piece involved in PJ Tucker. I'm not going to ask PJ Tucker to shoot the ball. I need somebody on that wing spot to replace Danny Green.
But Danny Green can be deadly, though. Like, I don't know. PJ Tucker.
10 years ago.
Wait,
I don't know, man.
What do you mean, bro? Danny Green just had a
7 years ago. 7 years ago when he was on the
Danny
Spurs.
Green just had I think it was like 20-something point game or 30 point in the finals for the Raptors. That one game where he was lighting up the Warriors.
That was 2 years ago. That was 2 long years ago.
But now, honestly, with the Maxey thing, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. If we were to include him in a trade, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
You're going to need to give him up if you want Kyle Lowry.
I mean, in the future, if Ben is really your guy in the future, he might play the 2. He needs to be a lot more consistent with the 3 ball if Maxey wants to be a starter. I feel like he'd be nothing else but a bench piece for the next few years. I don't see him coming on to the 2 unless he develops that 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Here's my honest assessment. Like what's going on with y'all? My honest assessment. I feel as though you guys are kind of in a situation where I feel as though you guys should go like how the Chicago Cubs did it in baseball. The year that they won the World Series. They gave up. They knew for a fact that Aroldis Chapman was a 1-year rental. But they looked at their team and they said, this is a chance for us to win a World Series.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave up Gleyber Torres to the Yankees for Aroldis Chapman, knowing for sure that Chapman wasn't going to resign in the offseason. But what did it lead to? The first World Series title in over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, in the future it's gonna hurt not having Gleyber Torres as your second baseman or shortstop in the future. It's gonna hurt losing Aroldis Chapman in free agency, which they eventually did.
Mm-hmm.
But ain't nothing better than winning that championship. That makes up for everything. At the end of the day, you play to be a champion, not to be in second place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you got to decide. What are we gonna do? Where are we at? Are we all in or are we not?
And I feel like we've been in that stage forever. I feel like adding that Jimmy Butler and all that was like our first
That was our
little
year.
step. Our first little step of we're going all in, and then it completely fell apart. And then last year that was bad, and then we're back at it again. Do we go full in? Do we go all in? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not go all in?
Mm-hmm.
We've been waiting for years to have a team like this.
Yeah.
Why not go all in?
Don't let the Nets win the championship this year. If they win it this year, it's no way they're gonna disband now. They won their ring.
Mm-hmm.
Harden will have his first. Kyrie will have his second. And Durant will have his third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the point of being mad or being – they're going to have no reason to be mad. Now, if you beat them this year, that's where the chatter starts within the locker room. This is the year where you got to basically, what they say, nip it in the butt. You just got to stop it right now.
Yeah. And that was the thing with the Sixers back when they had Butler. If you won that series and you end up and somehow go win the championship, you're still going to have that team. Like you weren't going to fall apart like we actually did.
John, you're actually convincing me that we should trade for Lowry, get rid of Maxey.
No, but really though, Jimmy,
that's
like,
what it takes.
what else? Where is he going to play in the future? He's not going to take Ben's spot.
Well, here's the deal. Ben is still Ben is playing at a high level right now. One of the highest levels he's played in his career right now, and that's without the Tyrese Maxey. Ben has proven that the only thing he needs is Joel Embiid healthy and two shooters around him. He has Joel Embiid healthy for the most part, and he has the two quote-unquote shooters around him. Now, if he just has that for the rest of his career, he's going to be playing at a high level. Yep. So is Maxey going to turn into a lockdown shooter, or is Maxey going to be a ball-dominant guy?
That's all dependent on his game. And if the Sixers don't win and they want to deal Simmons, like I feel like if it's a thing with Maxey, if you don't get rid of him and then you try to deal Simmons, you'll have Maxey as your starting point guard. That's how it really would be. But I don't.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you something, Jimmy. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna throw some players out there, and you tell me where you see in the future, based on where their games are going, who is Maxey gonna play over? Ready? Ben?
Mm-hmm.
No. Based on the defense he brings and energy he brings, Thibault.
It really depends.
Shake Milton.
That's why I think Shake and Tyrese are the same player right now. Only Shake has a better shot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Shake already has a better shot.
Our second best scorer, honestly. Yeah. He's very consistent. He has a great shot. So I trust him.
It's like at the end of the day, where you look at it, if you look at the future, if he's not going to be over Shake in terms of a sixth man of the year, he's not going to be over Thibault when it comes to if he gets a shot. They both need a shot, and Thibault already has defense. So it's like he's more valuable than Maxey is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, and he's not taking Ben's spot. He's not taking Tobias' spot. Where does he fit?
Yeah. Nah, I hear the point. It's just I saw what Maxey can do, but I don't know if that's ever going to be compatible with Ben's game. So if that means that you need to throw away that for a 1-year rental, because Aiden, we're not going to be able to sign him because he's gonna make money this offseason. I don't think he's going to be worth it. So you don't want to sign him because I'd rather sign somebody else. I'd rather sign a lockdown shooter rather than Kyle Lowry with that money to replace a Danny Green. Now, yeah.
And at the end of the day, Lowry's a champion, man.
Yeah,
he's a champion. So he has that experience
too. So like, I don't.
If we were to get, he wants to come here. If we were to get Lowry, the team would probably look like Ben, Lowry, Danny Green if you can't find a replacement, Tobias, and then
Embiid.
And then you have Shake off the bench, Matisse off the bench, Seth off the bench, and then and then Dwight. That'll be your playoff rotation if you don't add anybody else. But they're probably going. But they're going to add other people. They're going to maybe try and get. Evan was talking about maybe trying to add Dario again. I don't know if the Suns will give him up.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's probably not going to happen. But you got PJ Tucker out there. You got the guy from the Kings. I don't know how to say his name. The one that he yeeted us. Maybe try and get a Buddy Hield. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But then you definitely have to give up Maxey for that. You definitely have to give up Maxey.
In my opinion, I feel as though 1 year Lowry could be better than a couple of years of Hield. Because at the end of the day, Lowry, man, what he does on both ends of the floor, like when I sit down and just actually watch the Raptors play, the impact plays that he has, especially if there's fans, them charges that Lowry takes.
Mm-hmm. Nah, he would become an instantaneous fan favorite, especially if there's fans. Yeah. Nah, I'm starting to shift. I agree with the poll. I officially changed sides. First time I've ever done it for a poll question.
Evan, we got him.
The Sixers will give up Tyrese Maxey for Kyle Lowry. I agree.
Guess who's a free agent after this year? Backup point guard. Your boy right behind you.
TJ McConnell.
We want TJ back.
I'm pointing at the Super Bowl poster.
We'll take Maxey.
We want TJ back.
We'll take Maxey for him. Take it or leave it.
It's not gonna happen.
Jimmy would take that.
No. I would love TJ to come back, but I don't think he's leaving Indiana.
Nah.
I don't think he's leaving Indiana. I'd pay him. I don't care. But
or Raul Neto. I don't know. He's
second in the league in steals. Just want to throw that out there. TJ McConnell, second in the league in steals.
Bro, I was looking at the steals leader yesterday or 2 days ago, and he was first. It was crazy. It was crazy to see. But let's transition to the Phillies. I got my World Series shirt on because I want to wear it because it might be the first year that we're actually relevant since 2011. Nice.
Let's go.
They had a start. They tied the Orioles today in 7, 4-4. Aaron Nola, as I said in the start of the show, gave up a 2-run home run. Look, there's a lot of hype for this team right now. I think it's going to be a toss-up whether they get a wild card or not, pending that the playoffs do stay the same with the play-in for the wild card game. So that'll mean 5 playoff teams in each league. I think we could all agree that they're not going to beat out the Braves to win the East. So they're going to be fighting for the first or second wild card. Now, with that being said, I've said this since the very beginning. Who's going to be their 4th pitcher? Who's going to be their 5th pitcher? Because somebody that was vying for competition started for us in our first preseason game yesterday, Ivan Nova. I didn't know he was still in the league. And he gave up, 3 bases loaded walks?
His ERA is infinity.
That game.
His ERA is infinity.
Look, Chase Anderson's not going to cut it. Matt Moore's not going to cut it. Spencer Howard isn't ready.
Vinny isn't.
Vinny Velasquez needs to stay in the bullpen. You can't go 162 games with 3 starting pitchers. Jonathan and I were talking yesterday. We were saying it's weird. Why didn't they go all out on Trevor Bauer? They didn't go all out on Trevor Bauer because they didn't want to go deep into the luxury tax. They didn't go after Trevor Bauer because there was pressure to sign JT Realmuto. Now, there was a toss-up for what the poll was going to be tonight. The poll was either going to be give up Maxey for a couple of picks and Kyle Lowry, or the poll was going to be the Phillies should have went all in on Trevor Bauer if that meant we couldn't sign JT Realmuto. Now, if our owner wasn't cheap, it would have been easy to sign both of them. But our owner's a cheap billionaire. How do you figure that?
Another thing is with that, I feel like we're just too – we have a good offensive team. We have a great offensive team.
No need to worry about the offense.
Yeah.
No need to worry about the offense. It's
and
the pitching.
The pitching is atrocious.
Our 1 through 3 starting rotation should be a 2 through 4.
And now
Aaron Nola has proven to me that he is a 3 on a really good team, on a playoff team. That's all he's proven to me.
Team, he's a 3. Maybe a 2, depending on how dominant your 1 is.
Yeah. And he is our ace. And that's scary. Because he has not shown up in a big game. We needed him last year. We needed him last year to go into the extended playoffs, and he choked.
And Evan, I pose this question to Jimmy. At the end of the day, would you rather pay for somebody that's the best catcher in baseball, right? The best player at his position, like a position like catcher, or would you rather have the literal Cy Young of the National League?
That's what we need most, the pitching. And you already signed somebody like Andrew Knapp as your backup, he's not terrible, but
you could have platooned Andrew Knapp with another backup catcher.
Listen,
and had Trevor
Wilson Contreras is literally on the trading block. You could have literally traded for a catcher like him. The Cubs are just giving players out like it's a festival right now. How many can we trade? They traded Schwarber. They traded away Caratini. They traded away Yu Darvish. And they traded away Darvish for practically nobody. The prospects they got were nobodies at the end of the day. The Phillies, I know they really don't have a farm system. They have, 2 top 100 prospects. But at the end of the day, they could have easily gotten a catcher like Wilson Contreras because the Cubs are rebuilding. So you could have signed Bauer, who's he's the most valuable pitcher. Not, he's the best third baseman or he's the best right field. He's the most valuable pitcher, starting pitcher last year.
Yeah.
If all the Reds had to do was hit 1 home run in those 9 innings that Trevor Bauer pitched in that playoff game, and they would have won because he threw a shutout.
And I touched on this last episode. This is another instance of our local national media, of the locker room, of these guys swaying the front office. We've seen it with the Eagles, and we're just seeing it with the Phillies now. I love JT Realmuto, and I would have loved to keep him. I would have signed both of them if I had $1 billion. But if you had to choose between one of them, if you want us to make the playoffs, you're signing Trevor Bauer over JT Realmuto. Now, I don't know if they're even in discussion to sign Trevor Bauer. I don't know why you wouldn't be, because he was the reigning Cy Young award winner in the NL going into free agency. So every team should have been looking at him. But if there was the option between signing JT to over $100 million or signing Trevor Bauer, you sign Trevor Bauer. Because if you sign Trevor Bauer, that just automatically puts you on the level of almost competing with the Braves.
I feel like
it's not even close.
I feel like everyone's just thinking about how much we traded for Realmuto rather than the upside of having a great pitcher like Bauer. I think we kind of dropped the ball. Like I loved it when we signed him, but now I'm really looking at it, and there's still so many struggles with this team. So I really don't know what they're gonna do because they don't.
That's where I say at the end of the day, Sixto's not coming back in that door. You made the mistake. You can't be thinking, oh my God, we made the mistake. We got to try and cover it up. No, at the end of the day, you got to move on from it. Chalk it up. At the end of the day, if you bring in Trevor Bauer, matter of fact, look at the Dodgers, what they did in signing Bauer. They signed Bauer. What did everybody say? Oh my God, they went over the luxury tax. And oh, look, Justin Turner's still a free agent. How are they? Forget that. We're signing both of them. We don't care how far we are on the luxury tax or whatever. We see what the Padres are doing. And in the Phillies case, they should have saw what the Braves are doing, adding Charlie Morton, bringing back Marcelo Zuna, seeing that these teams, not only that, the Mets, bringing in Lindor, bringing in Carrasco, Stroman coming back after he opted out last year from COVID, Noah Syndergaard coming back from injury middle of the year this year. All these teams are making improvement. Nationals, get Josh Bell, get Kyle Schwarber, sign Brad Hand, bring in a bunch of other pieces. Every team is making moves.
Yeah.
And then the Phillies see that, and instead of saying, you know what, we're all in. Let's do it. We got Bryce Harper. We got Alec Bohm. We can bring back JT Realmuto. We have all these pieces here. We have Aaron Nola, who could be a great number 2, Trevor Bauer's number 1. And then Zach Wheeler, who'd be a dominant number 3 to have. Who wouldn't want to have?
And then Eflin at 4, and then you could have chose.
Yeah. And in the playoffs, you pitch 4 guys at most.
Exactly.
Some teams pitch 3.
Exactly.
Look,
what Jonathan just said, we may have made big splashes this offseason, but we didn't go above and beyond anybody else in the NL East. We went above the Marlins because the Marlins didn't do anything.
And they're rebuilding.
Yeah.
And they're probably still better than us too, which is the sad part.
They could be. It's debatable. It's definitely debatable. I think 2 through 4 is going to be the battle. The Mets could be a wild card. I don't know about that yet. But you had a chance to go above and beyond everybody and reach the Braves level and reach the Padres, reach the Dodgers level. But you didn't. You didn't because I don't know. I don't want to call you a cheapskate, but that's basically what you are, you know.
And it sucks to look back at like a team like the Padres. They were at the same. They were when they signed what's his face, Was
My
it
boy.
third base?
Machado.
They signed him, and then
said, "What's his face?"
Our franchises were at the same place, and the Padres after that have just got 2 times better than the Phillies.
And that's where I go to Jimmy for this, because Jimmy's a witness to this. Jimmy, when the Padres signed Machado and the Phillies signed Harper, I told Jimmy, here's the one difference between those two teams.
I can't wait for you to finish.
Look at the Padres farm system. Not only that, look at the Padres pitching, and now compare that to the Phillies pitching and the Phillies farm system. Okay. The Padres made all these moves. Guess who still has the number one pitching prospect in all of baseball?
The Padres.
In Mackenzie Gore. The number one pitching prospect. Guess who still has the number one infield prospect in all of baseball? C.J. Abrams for the San Diego Padres. They made all these moves, and they still have 2 top 10 prospects in all of baseball. The Phillies have 1 prospect in the top 50.
Mm-hmm.
What moves have they made? What trade have they made? Who have they brought in? At the end of the day, yes, signing Harper is great. But I told Jimmy, if you don't have that pitching, and not only that, if you don't develop right, what are those 13 years going to bring?
You're explaining everything that they've fumbled since 2011. They've been a terrible franchise over the past decade. Like, if we don't make the playoffs this season, that's 10 years since we have been relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were going to say that Machado was a better signing than Bryce. I was about to go off.
No, I'm not going to get into that conversation. We've already talked about that.
I'm just saying Bryce had a significantly better 162 game season, and then during the 60 game season, Machado
finished top 3 in MVP.
Exactly. But he had the pitching around him.
Yeah.
Bryce had basically nothing around him.
You can't lie though. Since Machado got signed to that team, they flipped.
Yeah, but that's a better organization than what the Phillies are. The Phillies are still trying to learn how to be a good organization again.
Let's not act like the Padres weren't a laughing stock for years. A laughing stock. They were like.
But they were drafting well.
Like the Timberwolves.
They were drafting well, and they were trading for good prospects, i.e., Fernando Tatis.
Guess what? Got him for James Shields.
Exactly.
We got him for James Shields, guys.
Exactly. Ed, if we would have offered him the right amount of money, he would have came here. Yeah. At the end of the day, these baseball players are money chasers.
Edward, and Edward, that statement it's void, because at the end of the day, who were the 2 teams that he was going to? Dodgers or who? The Mets. Where are the Mets? In the East. Yeah. Those are the 2 choices he had. So you're telling me that the Phillies came to the table with a big bag and multiple years, said, we're going over the Red Sox, we want to win. We got Bryce Harper. We have great fans. Like, come on now.
That automatically makes you a contender if you would have signed Bauer. I don't like the Bauer slander in this chat right now. I don't like the Bauer slander in this chat. Yeah, Mark, they could have. The bullpen was definitely the biggest need, but they solved that. Their second biggest need is finding that 4th or 5th starter so that Ivan Nova isn't in our rotation, so that Vince Velasquez isn't in our rotation, so that Chase Anderson, Matt Moore, freaking Spencer Howard, they're not in our rotation. If you add Bauer, you just need to worry about one of those guys that I just mentioned, just as a fill-up role.
Guys, I have $1 million for whoever could guess what team Matt Moore was on last year without looking it up.
He was on. He was in the KBO.
The team.
The Sharks.
Exactly. You don't know. Nobody knows.
I don't know.
So nobody knows.
I know he was in the KBO, and he is what, 40 years old, 38 years old, 37. He's in the high 30s. I know that, and he is vying for a starting spot. That's just bad. That has Met Klentak written all over it. That has Pete McPhail written all over it. Why are they still in the organization? I know Dombrowski's making all these moves, but why are these guys still in the organization? Why? I don't know. Yeah. Is Harper overrated for his contract? Are we going to get into this?
Listen,
I don't think he is. I think he's given you everything that you thought he would be and more.
It's like I told Jimmy. The Phillies, what the Phillies signed him for wasn't for a 300 hitter. They didn't sign Harper to be
50 home runs.
50 home. They didn't sign him to be a Gold Glove. They didn't sign him to be. They signed him to bring an impact. He's brought an impact at the end of the day. He makes flashy plays. He has some bombs that just makes everybody go crazy in the stadiums.
We also would not have resigned JT if it wasn't
JT without Bryce Harper. Exactly.
We wouldn't have signed DD without Bryce.
Here's what I'll say.
And the thing is with that, like you'd still have all those players from not. You wouldn't have re-signed Romuto. No, you wouldn't have got him in the first place. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they wouldn't have.
You probably would have not even got him in the first place.
That's why he wanted the Phillies. Basically,
we would be the Marlins right now. Only we wouldn't have any of the prospects if we don't sign Bryce Harper.
Mm-hmm.
So just for that, his contract is not overrated.
Mm-hmm.
We would literally be the Marlins.
Yeah, it's like the LeBron effect. Honestly, like I know Bryce is no LeBron, but like it's just like guys want to flock. They want to flock to a player like Bryce.
Yeah. All right. A couple predictions for the Phillies this year. We laid it out a little bit. It was the second game of the spring training. First one in Clearwater. First one televised today. Aaron Nola gives up a 2-run home run in the first inning. I wouldn't necessarily be worried, but given that he's been wildly inconsistent throughout his whole career, when it comes to big games, I am worried. How far do you have the Phillies going this year with the stacked NL East? Evan, you go first.
I say they're fighting for the second or maybe it's gonna be hard. The Mets got a lot better.
Well, the Dodgers and the Padres have playoff spots locked unless there's any injuries pending.
Honestly,
so one of those teams will be the first wild card.
I don't think we can get a wild card spot. I don't think we'll make the playoffs just because of the pitching hasn't got that much better, if any. Like the offense got maybe a little worse. I mean, you did get Alec Baum. He's upcoming star. I feel like we need to trade Hoskins. I feel like we need to get rid of him, get a pitcher get a prospect.
That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting. That is some talk for when the trade deadline comes up. It really depends on how well he is doing. If his numbers are there, but necessarily you don't really see it with your eyes. Maybe you discuss doing a trade for a 3 to 5, like a legit 3, 4, or 5 starter. Yeah. Maybe, but that'll be a talk for the trade deadline, depending on what happens. So you're saying no playoffs? Not even a chance?
I say like 5 games behind, 10 games behind. I don't know. It's a long season. We didn't see. They barely. They just went 500 last year.
A little below 500. Yeah,
and we saw the year before that. Like the team hasn't done anything to make me think that they deserve a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm. So. I mean, it's just the rotation. Go ahead, John.
So I was going to say, I believe that they'll probably end up being the 4th seed in the NL East, just for the fact that I believe Braves are locked for first, in my opinion. Then I believe either the Nationals or if Syndergaard comes back by June, I have the Mets getting the 2nd seed.
The Mets.
I'm going to finish in the 3rd.
The Mets choke.
Listen, who has been to more World Series in the past 10 years? The Phillies or the Mets?
I feel like the Phillies are the biggest choke artists in
you can't say they choke.
But the Mets always have.
We've been in the first place like so many. Like I remember, what was it? 2 years ago, we were like 10 spots ahead in the East.
That's because we don't have a bullpen.
I know,
but
the Mets offense is consistently going to disappoint you.
But they're
whether that's Pete Alonso just not showing up during COVID, whether it's freaking I don't know, Dominic Smith coming in out of nowhere, but before that, the 5 years that you had him, he just did absolutely nothing. The Mets have proven to you that they are hot and cold, and 9 times out of 10 it's going to be cold. Just because they added Lindor and Carrasco's coming back. He is, but there's only so much you can do.
And they added a legit number 2 who has been to the World Series.
Carrasco.
Yep.
A legit number 2.
We'll see. We'll see. I got the Phillies again. I got the Phillies above the Mets. Slightly above the Mets.
And not only that, they're bringing back Stroman, and they added James McCann because they finally have a good catcher now.
How old is he?
And listen, you cannot call the Mets chokers, Jimmy.
You're right.
When the Phillies have not done anything.
I just got my goggles on right now. I just see that they added to the bullpen. I feel like our bullpen has gotten a lot better than the Mets bullpen, and the Mets bullpen has been just as bad as for them as our bullpen's been for us. So our bullpen has gotten a lot better. I'd say our offense is around the same.
Yeah.
Maybe the Mets a little bit better, but it really just depends. And then they have the starting rotation. On us. But
because at the end of the day, it's going to come down to starting pitching. In the playoffs, it comes down to starting pitching. If you have a number one starter that could go 8 innings, what you need a reliever for?
Yeah, or you can play a pull that game.
DeGrom is a lock. He's a lock.
Look, it depends on if Vinny Velasquez can maybe get out of his shell, maybe give us a long reliever role, 2 to 3 innings if he comes out, maybe. Look, I'm just trying to give the people hope.
You cannot keep saying people choke, people this, people that, and you bring up a guy who would like you like to say for the last 5 years, what was he doing? What has Vince Velasquez done?
Bro, do you remember that his coming out game when he had 17 strikeouts in a complete game?
Yeah.
Bro, so many people got so hype over this man. And since then, he's just...
I don't think I had attended my senior prom by that time.
Yeah. He fell flat on his face.
I'm in my junior year of college.
Do you know how many Vinny Velasquez t-shirts I saw after that game?
They thought wrong.
Look, I'm telling you, not targeting Trevor Bauer and just offering him everything you could, it's going to be a big mistake. Because Bauer would have been the Kyle Lowry to this team. Bro, if you're all in, you're all in.
Not just that, there's other pitchers that were available that they could have gotten. They could have gotten a Kyle Hendricks to be a number 4 for the Cubs. He's a solid pitcher. He every year has a mid-3 ERA. Solid pitcher. Could have gotten him for the low because he's in his 30s now. Easily could have gotten to be a 4. They could have got a guy like John Lester for experience in the playoffs. Get him as your number 5. The Cubs, look, I just told you, another player that the Cubs gave up, John Lester. They were giving away guys like it was nothing. There's so many guys that were made available in terms of starting pitcher this offseason. And the Phillies got none of them.
This is what it feels like. It feels like Dombrowski came in and he did everything involving everything but the 4th and 5th spot in the rotation. And they left that for Clintack. Yep. And that's what I feel like Clintack came up with. Came up with Matt Moore.
Go for a guy like Daniels?
I would love that.
He's still a free agent.
I would love that. It'd be better than what you have in the 4th and 5th.
It would.
Even Corey Kluber would have been a nice number 4 for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look where he's at.
I'm just
Yankees.
Yeah, Yankees, your team. Which one is your team? The Padres or the Yankees?
So I'm a Yankees fan, but just like in basketball, where I'm a Patriots fan and a Paul George fan, I'm a Yankees fan and a Manny Machado fan.
Okay. You're very confused.
You know me. I got a team and my player.
Yeah, I think that's.
You got TJ McConnell in the Sixers.
But I don't follow the Pacers like you follow the Clippers. I don't follow the Padres, or I don't follow the Pacers like you follow the Padres. Like I feel like you're slowly transitioning to a Padre fan.
Nah, because when a Yankees signed Corey Kluber, I went like this. I wrote it in my notes. Either my players winning a championship or my team's winning a championship. So it's all fine with me. It's all fine with me. I could just sit there and watch it.
Are you sure you don't want to suffer with the rest of us in 4-for-4 land?
What?
You don't want to suffer with us? I know you're suffering as an Eagles fan right now.
No, listen.
You don't want to suffer with the Philly fans?
I'm still not suffering. You know why I'm not suffering? Because that season ended and another season started. So I just forgot football was a thing. Like when you even call me sometimes like, hey man, what do you think? I'm like, what's that? Who that? I don't know about them. Who's Roseman?
Yeah.
Logan. Who's that? I don't know them. They go out my head.
Yeah. All right. So both of you have them missing the playoffs, and you're not really giving them a legit shot, is what I'm hearing.
No, listen. They have a shot, but it's like I told you. I feel
like a legit shot. A legit shot.
Everything has to go their way. For example, Syndergaard has to somehow not be good anymore. For the Nationals, Scherzer and Strasburg have to regress from all the injuries they've had in the past.
We're going to be better than the Nationals. They have an old ass lineup with the exception of Juan Soto.
Let me guess.
and Trey
Let me
Turner.
guess. They always choke.
They don't choke. They got an old lineup. They got a bunch of old heads in that lineup. Am I right or wrong? And then they got a bunch of old heads on the starting rotation too.
Jimmy, we talked about this yesterday. Just because they've been around for a while don't make them old.
They're old.
They ain't old.
They're going to slow down.
Dude,
In the famous words of Max Kellerman, he is going to fall off that cliff. It's coming up. He's slowly
And now let
falling
me ask
off
you a
that
question.
cliff.
Was Max Kellerman right?
Max Kellerman is never right. I'm just saying in the famous words of
But
Max
don't
Kellerman.
use his words. Don't use his words.
No. You don't need to understand the context of it. You just need to know that sentence. They're falling off a cliff.
Listen.
No,
listen.
the Phillies are honestly like a team like the Kings. Like, team hasn't been that good, right? No, listen. It would be like the Kings with no draft picks, but worse. We have a really young team, but it's not going anywhere. A young team, like a young team.
I feel like you guys are criticizing them way more than what I'm trying to criticize them for. I feel like they were one starter away from being legit contenders. That's what I feel like they are.
You telling me, Jimmy, you don't think that if the Phillies offered Mickey Moniak and maybe another low tier,
we're not getting a bag of half-eaten cheese curls for Mickey Moniak. So I don't even know where you're going with this.
No, listen, he's still at the end of the day, teams look at it like, okay, he's still number one pick. He got picked number one for a reason. He's got to have something in there. It's just like JP Crawford where you traded him. At the end of the day, he's got some value. He was picked number one. And it's not that long ago. You telling me you couldn't get a number 4, a number 5, or even a number 3 starter for a former number 1 pick that just got drafted number 1?
Obviously you can't because you didn't do it.
No, you probably can. It's just a bad franchise.
I know we're a bad franchise, but
the Padres got Yu Darvish for the number 11 prospect in their system, who, by the way, is 18 years old and has not played a professional game yet. He was the number 11 prospect in their system, not in all baseball, in their system. The number 13 prospect, the number 16 prospect, and what is his name? Oh, Zach Davies. That's what they gave up for Yu Darvish and Victor Caratini. Tell me you couldn't get Kyle Hendricks from Mickey Moniak?
I'm just saying. I don't know if they have something else coming up their sleeve. I don't think they could truthfully look themselves in the mirror and say, yeah, Matt Moore is going to be our 4th starter come opening day. I don't think they can do that. I feel like something is coming. I don't know what it is.
I mean, at the end of the day, we in spring training now. Ain't nothing happen.
Look, if you could get Cole Hamels for the cheap, I'll bring him in as the 4th or 5th starter. And then maybe have Cole Hamels lined right up next with Spencer Howard. Maybe Cole can show Spencer Howard a few things about being that young, pitching at that's in such a good city, a good sports city like this. I feel like that would be nice. Have Cole as the 4th, have Spencer Howard as the 5th. That could maybe fill in a Band-Aid, but
another starter or two that could possibly be on the market are pitchers like Herman Marquez or John Gray for the Rockies. 2 starters, they're solid starters. John Gray was an all-star 2 years back, and then Herman Marquez was an all-star, I believe. Or maybe John Gray was 3 years ago, but Herman Marquez was an all-star 2 years ago. Solid little starters, have like mid-3 ERAs, 4 or 5 starters, because at the end of the day, the Rockies, they're rebuilding. If you trade away Nolan Arenado, you're rebuilding. So you could easily get one of those 2 starters from them.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. I just can't see how they could just do this as their 4th and 5th starter. I feel like something's going to happen, and I feel like that may put them over the top of getting that second wild card. And if they get that second wild card, anything can happen in that one playing game series. Mm-hmm. Zach Wheeler can pitch a gem because you know I'm picking Zach Wheeler over Aaron Nola in that playing game, right? Listen, if I have the option, I'm picking Wheeler.
They are in the same spot that I'd say
the Mets.
Nah, they're you know where they are? If I put it in NBA terms, they're this season's Boston Celtics. We're good. We got flashy players. Harper's our Tatum. Jaylen Brown is our JT Realmuto. We got Kemba. He could be like our Nola, where he's like he could have been a number 1 on a bad team, but here he's like our number 3. Yeah, I got these flashy guys and things like that. But at the end of the day, are you as good as the Nets? for example, the Dodgers? Are you as good as the Lakers, the Padres? Are you as good as the Braves? A team like, for example, like the Nuggets, something like that, or the Jazz. Are you as good as them if you're the Celtics? Are you as good as the Sixers, or in baseball terms, let me think of a team, the Yankees? No, you're not. So you're just in the middle. But you're not bad enough where it's like we got to tank, trade everybody.
Yeah,
Because you got Harper. What do you do?
Look, you're one starting pitcher away from being a legit playoff contender, and I'm banking that they will get that fourth or fifth starter. So I'm saying they're going to get the second wild card.
What have they done to show you that they'll do it?
They'll do it. Because the second series of the year, they'll see that their fourth and fifth starter will go 2 or 3 innings, and they'll say, "Oh shit, time to make a change."
I disagree, Jimmy, because we've done that for years. We haven't done anything about it.
Yeah, it's been like that for years.
It's Matt
Come on,
Moore.
Jimmy, you gotta let that.
Matt Moore, Ivan Nova, Chase Anderson. Are you kidding me right now? Are you actually kidding me?
Who got 4 and 5 last year?
Bro, I couldn't even tell you.
Okay then. So, like I said, Jimmy, what'd you say to me earlier?
Arrieta was our fourth. Arrieta was our fourth.
Yeah.
Better off with Matt Moore, like you said.
Nah. I'd take Arrieta as the fifth right now.
Arrieta's bad.
Yeah, but
he's wild.
At least he wasn't playing in the KBO last year.
Hey man, he was better off there. Like I said, Jimmy. Like I said, what have they done to show you? Listen, we're gonna make this move. You told me earlier, gotta be unbiased. For a second here, you gotta be unbiased. What have they done?
Oh, I am being unbiased. I think if they are in serious game, they got to see that their lineup is good. They got to see that their bullpen is revamped. They didn't just revamp their bullpen just for the hell of it. They revamped their bullpen because they feel like they're in position to win. Now they got to open their eyes, clear their eyeballs, and see that they're one pitcher away. And I'm saying that they're going to get that one pitcher before the trade deadline, and they're going to get the second wild card.
I feel as though you should trade Spencer Howard for a top pitcher.
All right, that's discussion for another day. We got to move on to the Eagles 6th pick. We got to see if we want to trade down to get extra draft capital, or if we move up to get a quarterback. Now, personally, if they move up and get a quarterback, I will be extremely confused because, in their words, they couldn't pass up on the next Russell Wilson, as they said last year. So, if you think he's the next Russell Wilson, why are you even thinking about trading up? It's just bogus and bullshit. I don't understand how that is even feasible. And if it happens, how anybody can be keeping their jobs after that. If they stay at 6, I want them to get either Chase Smith, or if Sewell's still there, revamp the offensive line for Jalen Hurts. I do not want Kyle Pitts. Because why are you drafting another tight end when you just had
a tight end? He wouldn't be a tight end. He'd be a wide receiver.
He's 250 pounds. What wide receiver is 250 pounds?
He could be a DK Metcalf type. I don't know,
bro. You just drafted Dallas Goedert, right? When you already had Zach Ertz in his prime, and that absolutely destroyed Zach Ertz.
Gonna be traded. That's an irrelevant name right now. He's gonna be traded.
You need something on this team in every position except for your punter, long snapper, and tight end. And you wanted to draft a fucking tight end with the 6th pick. There's 22 positions on that field.
He would play. I'm telling you, he would play wide receiver. They moved
25 positions on the field.
They moved him to wide receiver. DK Metcalf's 230.
There's 25 positions on the field. You need 22 of those 25 positions. And you're trying to draft somebody in a position that you already have. Why can't Dallas Goedert end up being like George Kittle? He's gonna have all the snaps at tight end now. Now that we're gonna run Zach Ertz out of town,
you're better off just going Goddard and Richard Rodgers as your 2 tight ends.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're better off just starting like that. Why would you get Pitts? Because at the end of the day, Pitts, you'd have basically another Ertz and Goddard situation, but with Goddard and Pitts.
You're trying to recreate the Patriots, but you're not Bill fucking Belichick. You're Nick Sirianni.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we need a pure wide receiver. A pure wide receiver.
Yes, Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith.
Chase, yeah. I don't think Devontae will be there, but I think Jamar will. Well, one of the two, Matt. You're right. One of the two will be there.
Oh, yeah, because because Lawrence is going 1. Jets are probably going to go with Zach Wilson. 3 is what? The Falcons or the Dolphins? They got Houston's pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolphins might trade out.
They're
Dolphins
going
receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, bro, Tua with Devontae, that connection. I think they're getting Devontae, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Or they trade out and get Waddle. They get Waddle later in the mid round.
Yeah.
Because Waddle and Tua had the better connection than Devontae. Because Devontae came on this year.
I know.
Because last year it was Judy, Ruggs, and Waddle as the 3 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And Smith was the 4th. So
and didn't Tua not Tua? It was Smith that said something about he liked Mac Jones better than Tua or something like that. That was kind of weird. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, but if we trade up to get Zach Wilson, which I don't know, if he's your guy, he's your guy. But you just said you drafted Russell Wilson last year, and you ran out your franchise quarterback who was elite 2 years ago. You ran him out of town because you drafted the next Russell Wilson. Why the fuck would you trade up and get a quarterback? So if that happens, or if they draft Pitts with the 6th pick,
they wouldn't draft in the 6th. They move back. If they were to draft Pitt,
Pitts is climbing up. Pitts is climbing up the mock boards now. I know the mock boards beat shit, but I don't know if they're smart enough to realize that. Oh, maybe we can trade back and he'll be there. Because if they trade back and he's not there, that would honestly be hilarious.
I'd honestly take again. I already said this before. I'd take Smith over
Chase.
No, I'd take Chase over Smith.
Over Smith.
Yeah.
I'd take Chase over Smith as well.
I don't know. I don't like the build he has on him, but like there's like Robbie Anderson who's like the same exact like build, who's a great wide receiver in the league. But I want a player better than Robinson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, knowing the Eagles, that 6th pick is going to come up, and we're going to hear out of West Dakota International, Carlos Johnson. Who?
Another thing, I don't think if Sewell's there at
6, I'm taking Sewell.
I don't think so.
It's a possibility. If the Bengals go after Chase, if Chase is there, we have the connection with Burrow and Chase.
We have too many tackles because there's going to be another controversy next year. It's going to be, are you going to be starting at left tackle, or are you going to be starting Mailata or Dillard?
Mailata. No. This is what I want to happen. If Sewell's there, you draft Sewell. He'll play left tackle. You trade Dillard for a 6th round pick. I don't fucking care what you get back for him. He's a bum. So you draft Sewell. He plays left tackle.
He's only played a couple snaps, Jamie.
Who? Dillard?
Yeah.
Bro, you're gonna skip over a generational left tackle on the hope that Dillard is going to be good.
We selected that like 12 years ago. We had a fireman and he didn't do shit.
Danny Watkins. Danny Watkins is not Penei Sewell.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm taking Sewell if he's there. That means Dillard's gone. You have Mailata as the swing tackle, just in case Lane Johnson's leg blows up again, or if Sewell ends up getting hurt. Because Mailata's a good swing tackle.
The only thing with that is I'd try to package up a trade to like Seattle or something like that. If you were to trade Dillard, you go Dillard and Ertz, and you try to get something good from the Seahawks, maybe a pick or something like that.
Yeah. So I was looking at a mock draft earlier, and it was saying that we were going to draft Mac Jones at 6.
Hell no. They need to fire
Mac Jones? Mac Jones? Did you say Mac Jones?
Yeah.
Bro.
He's not even like top 15.
Bro.
If we do that, should we trade? If we do that, should we trade for Tua?
I think it was CBS Sports, bro. If you go to CBS Sports mock draft, bro, they have Mac Jones getting picked 6 by the Philadelphia Eagles, bro. They got Jamar Chase getting picked 3rd by the Dolphins.
If we do that, should we trade for Tua so that we have Alabama's QB factory?
Listen, if we do that, I'm buying a Colts jersey. Adios.
Yeah.
I will officially be 0 for 4. Officially, bro. Book it. Book it,
Let me-
book it, book it.
let me pull that up real quick.
Pull up CBS Sports mock draft. I think it just came out.
Absolutely
Too.
ridiculous.
Yep. They got
see it, right?
Lawrence. They got Lawrence going 1, Zach Wilson going 2, Jamar Chase to the Dolphins, Justin Fields to the Falcons at 4.
They got the Bengals getting Sewell, too.
Sewell getting Bengals, and then the Eagles getting Mac Jones. The description
He
says
fired ASAP.
the description says who knows what the Eagles will do with the number 6 pick, but it's hard to
Fact.
imagine they no-showed in that Week 17 game just to take a wideout or an offensive lineman. And with Wentz now in Indy, there has to be a plan B behind Jalen Hurts, who will be reunited with his former Alabama teammate Mac Jones.
That literally makes no sense.
What the hell kind of explanation is that?
That makes no fucking sense at all.
We're going to reunite him with a guy that was starting over the guy we're drafting.
Yo, Don,
That's-
Don, funny you comment because they have you taking Jalen Waddle at 7. Jalen Waddle's a projected like 15 to 20 pick. So that'll be almost as bad as us drafting Mac Jones.
I said this to Jimmy a lot. Don, good luck with that, Papa.
Dude, if we draft Mac Jones, fuck it. Let's draft Trey Lance, North Dakota State. Bison pride in here, baby.
Bro,
North Dakota State's basically the second Philadelphia.
I'll be at the draft, and if Howie's within 100 feet, I might have to break into the room and just take
Put
him
some
out.
hands on him. Put some paws on him.
Look,
yeah, man, I might have to.
if Sewell's at 6, I'm taking Sewell. If not, then I'm taking Chase or Devontae Smith. And
I think Sewell goes to the Bengals.
if all 3 of them are gone, then you trade back. Get extra draft capital. Every blind squirrel finds a nut. So Howie will find somebody.
Who would you trade back to though? And
Bro.
then what would you want?
We ain't finding nothing, Jimmy. Stop. We can't draft. I already told you, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at the point where it's like, man, I turned off my ego notifications. I probably won't even know who we draft. I'm just gonna wait until the season starts, turn the TV on at 1:00, look at the screen, and I'll find out there. If I don't see Jalen Hurts at quarterback, I'm just gonna be like, hey, we drafted a quarterback. That's what's up. If I see a freaking wide receiver and Jamar Chase there, I'm like, hey, we drafted Jamar Chase. If I see a lineman, I'm like, oh, we drafted a lineman. But I'm not gonna be during the offseason, oh my God, look, we drafted this guy. No, I'm done with it. I'm done getting hyped. Even though I know they don't give me anything to be hyped about anyways. Jalen Rager.
Look, Philly sports content. I've said this for 3-4 weeks now. We're trapped in a quarterback. I don't agree with it, but I think that's exactly what we're gonna do. That's exactly what we're gonna do. You just asked me where I'd want to trade back to. Maybe trade back to 12. That's where San Francisco's at. They'll maybe want to trade up and draft a quarterback because Jimmy G ain't it. So maybe they trade up and get a Trey Lance or something.
Mm-hmm.
But Justin Fields if he's there. But it's just we have a lot more time to talk about the draft. Like I said in the beginning of the show, it's 50-something days away now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's bad, man?
Give me Patrick Surtain. Give me, if we can't get them, get a cornerback or something.
At 6?
Yeah. No, not at 6. You'd have to
trade back.
Trade back if you.
Yeah, I'm about to say trade back. I'm not getting a corner.
No. Or a Parsons. I do like
unless
Parsons.
Jalen Ramsey somehow is reincarnated in one of these guys. I ain't drafting a corner at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If we move back, we definitely need to take a corner. And another thing we need to actually consider is our defensive line isn't getting any younger, and that's really been our staple over the past decade, 8 years now. These guys are getting old. You need to start thinking about that. I'm telling you, there's too many holes on this team for us to be drafting a quarterback or for us to be drafting a tight end with the 6th pick. You don't get the 6th pick so often. You don't get a high pick like this so often. You need to score on this pick. Otherwise, you need to trade back and get capital. Because if you trade back and get another 2nd-round pick, you have 5 picks inside the first 3 rounds. All 5 of those guys should be starters. All of them should be starters come 2021. 2021. But knowing Howie, will one of them be a starter? It's just this team is just so poorly run. that I can't take it.
Just cut it short, Jimmy. We're bad.
We're bad. We're
bad.
so bad. Winning that, and this is what this poll question was a couple weeks ago. For the thousand of views that we got, the just absolute hate comments that we got when I said I would sacrifice the Super Bowl for 10 meaningful years of Carson Wentz if that meant he can win more than one Super Bowl. Because we'd be in such a better position right now if that were the case. We wouldn't have to worry about turning into the Jets or the Dolphins or the Browns. We'd have an elite quarterback with solid players around him with a solid offensive line.
So basically what you're saying is you feel as though if they would have lost in the playoffs that year, basically not won the Super Bowl, Carson would have came back, not had that over his head where it's like, oh, we have Foles, he did this, he did that. Yes. His mentality would be better and all that. It wouldn't be a quarterback controversy. People would see that Foles did bad. Foles wasn't the guy. Carson would come back. It'll be his team. Everybody will be happy when he takes a spot. Not like, oh, my God, why are we replacing the Super Bowl champion? I understand what you meant. But I understand why people got mad at the same time because, like, not everybody wins a ring.
It was a polarizing poll question. It was a question that, in my opinion, was a good question. It was probably one of the – I feel like right away people will jump and say, oh, that was the greatest day of my life, this and that. And it was the greatest day of my life. I cried thinking about it more than once.
But, down the street.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, you need to realize that we're a bad football team, and we did this to ourselves. We did this to ourselves by re-signing Nick after that Super Bowl. I said it right away, a month later. We should have traded him when his value was good. Because if we trade him, maybe Carson takes his time coming back. Maybe Nick doesn't bring us to the playoffs again and is a catch away from making it to the NFC Championship game. It's just everything that has happened.
To me, that hurt more than the Super Bowl because if it happens once, you could call it a fluke. But when he came in the second time and we were down and out, and you told me, Jimmy, I remember when we were at Chestnut Hill, we're going to win out and we're going to make the playoffs and we're going to make a run.
Yeah.
And what happened?
I said that, yeah.
We made it. But I didn't think you knew you were basically signing off on Carson Wentz's.
Yeah, I did not. I was not thinking that. I was not thinking that at all.
But that's basically what happened because everybody saw, wow, like we really do click when Foles is on the field, which I don't agree with, but I see where somebody could see that because they were winning whenever Foles got on the field.
Yeah, Mark, that's basically everything that we've done wrong over the past 3 years. Messed up the salary cap, signed players that we shouldn't have signed, drafted players we shouldn't have drafted, and the undrafted free agents, Alex Singleton isn't even an undrafted free agent. He's from Canada.
One thing I'll say, I know it's like everybody wants to overreact and everything like that, but at the end of the day, we've seen big turnarounds from our organization before. So, like for example,
yeah, but it's not. It has not been like this. It's not been this bad.
9 to win in the Super Bowl.
Let me ask you something. 2 years before the Super Bowl, who was starting at quarterback? Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
So,
but
so things could flip. When Sam Bradford was starting at quarterback, were we thinking this is a Super Bowl team? No, we weren't. We weren't at all.
But the thing that flipped that around was you went all in to get Carson Wentz. There's not a quarterback that you're looking at right now that could be a Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts can't throw the football, and I'm going to stand by that until he proves me wrong. His 52% completion percentage, which was worse than Wentz. Whenever he rolls out, whenever there's a QB spy on him, he doesn't know what to do. He gets flustered. Whenever his first read's covered, he just runs out and depends on his legs. And those types of quarterbacks don't win in this league. And that's why I was just so baffled at the fact that we ran Ginger Jesus out of town. Just so confused. But, hey, I'm not a GM for a reason.
Don't name him that. His name is player to be named later.
Player to be named later. The C word. CW.
Yeah.
Look, we got a lot of Eagles talk coming up in the next few weeks and over the next few months. A lot of Phillies, a lot of Eagles, definitely a lot of Sixers, and hopefully the Flyers make some noise towards the end of the regular season as well. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. John, thank you for coming on to the show. We hope to have you back soon.
Pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Yep. Evan, it's always fun. Sure. Hopefully we get into a screaming battle over Ben Simmons in the next couple weeks. Hopefully.
Nice talking to y'all. Nice talking.
Yep. All right. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Don.